You lost Jim Gandolfini pretty quickly after the show was over.
Yeah.
That must have been pretty devastating.
It was surreal. I remember the phone call, and I've spoken a fair amount about just the condolence emails, letters I got for such a long time afterwards that were so sort of lovely, but also misguided.
Yeah.
I started sending them to his wife, because that's where they met. That's where they were supposed to go.
Yeah.
For me, it was, you know, I've never been married, and this was the closest I came. It was a 10-year marriage, and it was as close to a real one as I had known.
Yeah.
So in that way, it was really like profoundly, but the show was over too, so I knew it was over, but still, it was, just surreal. The feelings around it, surreal.
Everybody talks about how generous he was. How would you describe him?
Well, just one of the greatest guys I've ever met. I don't think he was ever comfortable in the leading role, in the spotlight. I think he was just a natural born character actor, theater actor. You know what I mean? He wasn't a Hollywood, guy. He wasn't a Hollywood leading man. He just wasn't. He didn't feel comfortable being that, having that much attention. And I can completely relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us like to observe rather than be observed. You know what I mean? And you lose that. You lose that a little bit, especially when you're the big star like he became. You can't. You lose your ability to observe. So that I think that bothered him a little bit.
Was that part hard for him?
Yeah, it was hard. I think he got used to it after a while.
Yeah.
But you never quite get used to it because it's not in your DNA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That kind of stuff's in your DNA. Mm-hmm. You need that spotlight or you don't. Mm-hmm. Okay? Superstars need the spotlight to be complete, to feel normal. That's how it is. And that's why we have superstars.
Right.
Thankfully, that's great. You know what I mean? If there was no neuroses, if there was no, if there was no problems, there would be no stars. I mean, you got to be screwed up somehow. You know what I mean?
That's so true.
To be in this business, And,
Yeah.
I don't think he actually ever knew how good he really was. I mean, he's one of the best actors, I think, in history. I mean, that's how good he was. I mean, not only was I robbed as a friend, but the entire industry was robbed of one of the great talents. I mean, God knows what he would have done with the rest of his life. Just getting started, really.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was just a wonderful, wonderful guy that never quite, I don't think ever quite got comfortable being a celebrity.
Mm-hmm. He was very concerned about you. He was very generous in that way, as opposed to some actors who want to up you, and you know what I mean. He was not that. So the whole set, it trickled down from him.
Yeah.
Guest stars were treated very nicely. He was very concerned. You okay? You want another take?
Yeah.
He would do a lot of that. Are you okay with that? Because I may not be able to say I want another take, but he could say it for you.
Yeah.
And he was very concerned about that. He was very serious about this. He didn't just come in. Don't forget, there was no ad-libbing at all, Anthony, not one word.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, you throw that out there? So it's word perfect,
Which has to be its own kind of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. It's also, for me, was learning. I had on-the-job training here,
Yeah.
But I mean, simple word. I have to go. I gotta go. That close.
Yeah. You had to get it exactly right.
Exactly right.
When a great actor and a great role come together, and that's what happened with, Tony Soprano and James Gandolfini. And Jim did lots of good work.
Yeah.
And lots of other things, but the character of Tony Soprano was so complicated, and he was just so right for it, physically age-wise, where he's from, his history, who he was as a person, how he related to the character as a person, what he had in common, what he didn't have in common, and what he knew about that world, growing up in Jersey like he did, and just being a great actor, all those things coming together. And my God, what a, just what a incredible performance. Every scene, take after take. He demanded a lot of himself.
In what way?
In always giving everything he could, always 100%, giving everything he could, doing whatever he could to make it better, to make it more real.
How did he do that? And
I think part of it was like he had a really good work ethic that he learned from his parents, who were, I think, from Italy, right? They were, I think, both his parents were born in Italy, Italian immigrants, and then first generation, really hardworking people.
how was that visible to you on the set?
Just in the level of commitment, you know when it's good,
Yeah.
and he also would keep going until he felt he got it right. He set a high bar for himself in terms of what he thought it should be,
Yeah.
and he worked very, very, very hard. I think he just had a really, strong work ethic that he learned from his family, and that
Right.
he translated into, the movie business, TV business.
Everybody also describes him as very generous.
Very generous, yeah, really kind, really, and he was kind of more like the captain of the team,
Yeah.
And he was like kind of the linchpin between the crew and the actors. Like he really looked out for the crew members. 'Cause he was on set more than any other actor, right?
Yeah.
So and the crew is on set all the time. And Jim was there almost all the time, so he felt that kind of kinship and really respected them a lot and looked out for them.
Gandolfini was not your first pick for Tony Soprano.
No, he wasn't. But that was just time-wise, chronologically.
Right.
He was the last one to actually come in and read. And once we saw that, it was pretty obvious that he was the guy.
What did you see in Gandolfini when he auditioned?
I don't know how to answer that. Anything that pops into my mind, but it isn't this.
Yeah.
But a great deal of authority
Yeah.
and the ability to go from mood to mood very quickly.
Yeah. I marvel at that every episode I look at. It's like,
He's incredible.
just the range of things that shift across his face.
I know. Well, the whole thing was about his face.
Yeah.
And about his eyes, actually.
Yeah.
There's something about his eyes that was otherworldly.
Yeah. When you say the whole thing was about that, in what way?
Yeah, in a way. If he
Yeah.
was the...
Yeah.
Yes. Well, how can I put this? Another Tony, somebody else as that character would not have been, we would not have had the success that we had.
Yeah. Losing Jim must have been a huge shock.
It was not.
It was not?
No.
How so?
He wasn't taking care of himself.
Yeah.
So, was it a show? Was it sad? Was it all those things that happens when someone that you love or you're close to dies? But in fact, not everybody, but people who worked on the show would be driving to work and they'd hear a part of a thing, a news thing about somebody's death in Hollywood, and they immediately said, "Oh God."
Right.
And it wasn't him,
Yeah.
but that's what the first thing they went to.
Yeah. It's interesting when someone becomes such a large character and someone that the people really relate to when you lose them, even though you sort of ignore all the life around it and you're just stunned.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm just smiling just thinking about him.